Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Between the Sticks. As you all know, I'm Sahib, this is Nabil, and we're back here for, what is this, episode 3 now?
Episode 3, yeah. It's good to be back and can't wait to get stuck into it.
Things, absolutely. As always, a big thank you and a shout out to everybody for showing all the support and love that you guys show. We're enjoying it. We're also enjoying doing this, so you guys keep it going. We'll keep it going, and another week, another Carlton win.
Absolutely. How good is that? How good is footy?
I mean, hey, listen.
It's just wonderful.
As miserable as Carlton have been making you this year, the last couple of weeks have been good.
It's been fantastic, man. 2 in a row. I said we're marching to September. I said in episode 1, we're going to win that next 9.
Let's
down.
Let's not jump too many guns here, okay?
Very, very happy, and the march continues.
I mean, yeah, listen, the march has gone off to a great start, and I won't lie, you know. Beat Essendon last week in a thriller, got over West Coast with ease.
Job done. So
that's all you need.
That's all we need. So, in the regards to the West Coast game,
yeah,
we'll start with Lockie Fogarty is where I want to start. Always like to start with a couple of players.
Yeah.
He kicked 3 in the first quarter, looked really good.
Yeah.
Was very happy with his performance. Again, I'm very much a maligned player.
Yeah.
McGovern going forward.
Very much an in and out of the team player as well, Lockie Fogarty.
Very much an in and out of the team forward. But I think at his best, he's one of our more important role players. So it's good to see the best out of him.
Yeah.
And then, McGovern went forward. We haven't seen that much across his time at Carlton.
You're
he
right.
Did last week. But
you're right.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a mid-season
You've got
change.
injuries or structure. There's no... Harry Mackay's been out for most of the season. Brody Kempton, ACL.
Exactly, yeah.
Charlie was out of the game.
Yeah.
I think it was like half-time or
Pretty
three-quarters.
much.
Most of the game he didn't play anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Charlie was subbed out at halftime.
Yeah.
Or not even before halftime. He was on the bench for most of the second quarter anyway.
There you go.
So, I don't mind it. As long as they keep McGovern forward, then I have no problem with that.
And it keeps working.
And he keeps working and he keeps getting goals. But, I mean, there are injury concerns. Sam Walsh is out with a foot. He doesn't come back until round
that one's
18.
going to hurt you guys, I'll be honest.
Mackay's out till round 19, I think. Again, foot.
So you're telling me we're only going to have to deal with
just
half a functioning Carlton forward line in a couple of weeks.
That's it.
Listen, defense doesn't already need its job to be easier, but...
We'll see. When we're in this sort of march, though, we're hard to stop. And
you've played Essendon on West Coast.
I'm telling you, man, it feels like 2023. We'll see you in September. We'll be there. We'll play you in September at some point.
You still believe in this September talk, but we'll see.
That's all I've got.
You guys play North Melbourne this week, yeah?
North Melbourne will beat them by 10 goals. Done and dusted. And then I think we'll play Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, which is somewhat of a challenge.
That'll be the beginning of the downfall.
I've got no concerns. And Collingwood, you've got a bye, but you've come and prepared to talk some things about Collingwood.
Yes.
What would you like to?
We did have a bye this week, and our season's going pretty good. Can't complain. Don't really have much to, nitpick. But an interesting thing that's been in the news probably since the end of last year, the whole of this year, every week at some stage, somewhere it comes up as our over 30 players, our contracted players, our uncontracted players.
Too slow.
Yeah, for all that talk, we're sitting comfy at the top of the ladder, so too old sometimes is a good thing. There's a fountain of experience, they call it, instead of a fountain of youth. So, we have, I think from my count, about 11 players that are over the age of 30, or will be over the age of 30 by the end of this season.
That's a lot.
Pendlebury, who's 37, will be 38 by the time next season starts. And funnily enough, he's signing on another year.
Oh, wow.
It came out during last week that he's kind of basically on the way to signing another 1-year deal. So
he debuted in 2006 and he's still going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 years next year, or 20 years, already 20 seasons. I mean, has he looked like he slowed down?
He's in form, I don't blame him.
But he's been going well, bro. Last week against Melbourne, he sent the ball this way and sent everybody else the other way. And everybody's like, is this 2012 Pendlebury or 2025 Pendlebury?
That basketball background everyone talks about.
Yeah, so, he's not slowing down. I think Sidebottom, Howe, they're probably having great seasons.
Yeah.
Arguably, Sidebottom's well and truly in All-Australian talks as well. I think Cox might be one that we kind of,
Yeah, I don't think he'll get another contract.
Either he won't, or if he does, he might not play much senior football. Kind of until we kind of secure a proper key forward, a proper tall. I think they might keep him around. Mitchell's another one. His body in form. Yeah, so that'll dictate it. I think a couple of the earlier 30 guys like Myercheck, Crisp,
they're all in form.
Elliot, they're all playing great. They're all contributing just as much as any 25-year-old or 23-year-old is contributing to the team. Elliott's having a career best season, as a matter of fact, in the top 5 of the Collingwood.
He stayed injury-free this year too.
And I think re-signing these guys will just be dependent on that. If they stay injury-free and they can continue playing the roles that they're expected to play, or we hope for them to play, I don't think we're going to have too many issues with actually getting rid of them.
I agree. I agree.
And in the meantime, you can slowly kind of like blood new kids in and like kind of give kids the experience that they probably need while the older guys are still kind of there, you know?
And look, credit to Collingwood, you've done that well. Ned Long, a player I thought was a bit of a dud, is a very good player.
He's not even considered as a young player anymore. He's
really
considered a 22 player.
He's a good player. Will Hayes debuted a couple of weeks back, another good player.
And I think that these older guys actually playing well has actually allowed for these younger kids to come in when there's injuries and whatnot and just play a role, kind of gain a bit of experience, get a bit of the crash and bash going on. And it's helping because it's kind of giving them the experience and the, time in the AFL that they need. But it's also you're not completely relying on them to kind of win you games,
good for their development. Yeah.
Exactly, and especially if they play with senior players as well, they kind of learn a thing or two of these guys. They, hone their craft and kind of polish their work. So, listen, as long as these 30-year-olds are kicking goals and doing what needs to be done and keeping us at top of the ladder, but they can keep playing until they're 44. They can keep
playing. I agree. They're playing well.
Absolutely. And
good footy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this week's game against St Kilda, which we will definitely have a chat about a little later. Moving on, this week.
Our top team
of the week
and our flop team of the week.
Absolutely. We'll get us started.
My top team of the week this week is going to be Port Adelaide. I guess against Melbourne, this was a game they had to win. They finished 15th.
Yep.
Or they're currently 15th. They finished 15th. It was a must-win game for them to stay
in touch with
the 8. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ken Hinkley's job. We talked about his job being on the line in our first episode. I hope. I think, but we did. So again, I think Port Adelaide. They just played really well. And
I also think Melbourne's kicking was horrendous.
It was
both disposal efficiency and on goal.
And the inside, they just butchered the ball inside 50.
Yep. I don't disagree, and I think we said if Port had continued their decline a couple of weeks ago, that by maybe halfway through the season, they might show Ken the door and bring in Josh Carr anyway. But
Ken's keeping his job.
He said by any means necessary.
They can't get rid of him.
They really can't, which is crazy. But he's doing a great job. The team's doing a great job somehow, some way.
They're finding a way.
Yeah, I agree. My top team of the week this week is the Giants, actually.
The Giants.
Gave them a lot of slack last week for the way they played against Port in Canberra. But this week, they went up to Brisbane and I don't know what they did to Brisbane.
They showed them up.
Little more than just showing them up. I can almost say, made Brisbane look irrelevant.
Yeah, they did.
The way they were moving the ball, the way they were forcing Brisbane to just panic every single time.
You don't see that from Brisbane. I haven't seen that from Brisbane in a long time.
Especially with all the experienced players, the Neils,
they don't make
the
mistakes.
McCluggage, yep. All these guys, they've actually held that team down well for a long time. But I don't know if it's form of players or the team generally. I don't know. A lot of talk has been about their hunger and they actually want. No one's mentioned a premiership hangover yet. But if we're going anything based off the way Collingwood went last year, we were kind of in the same place this time last year. And then from about the bye rounds after that, we kind of went downhill. And that trajectory is kind of looking a bit similar to Brisbane right now. So
you're hinting at it, but you're not saying it.
Yeah. So we're not calling it a premiership hangover yet, but they're looking too good too.
That's fair.
And their ladder position is giving away the biggest lie on the planet because they have not been playing like second or third place team. Especially I think they've won 4 out of the last 9 games.
Yeah, they haven't been great.
They've lost to Melbourne. They've drawn to North. They've lost to Giants.
Yes.
So in the last month, they've only won 1 game. So for that reason, I think the Giants and just the way they bounced back, especially from their game last week against Port in Canberra, and the way they touched up the Lions, I think, the Giants are definitely my top team of the week. And I'll get us off with the flop team of the week, which I already talked about, was Brisbane.
Yes.
I kind of went halfway through the conversation.
You did mention off camera you wanted to mention another team as a potential flop team.
They're not even like a flop team of the week. They're flop team of the season, flop team of the decade. I don't know what you want to call it, brother. They'd be a flop team of the quarter century at this point. It's Essendon. And I said there was shit last week.
You did say, what did you say?
And I also said, I will be very surprised, and I quote, if Geelong don't do to them what the Doggies did to them a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And what did Geelong do to them?
The exact same thing. They got belted.
I watched like maybe the last half of the last quarter of that game, and I'm just like, what are the chances Geelong actually kick on to make this over 90 points? And then when I actually saw it happening, I said, hey, you know what? I'm re-quoting what I said a couple of years.
You called it. You called it. Geelong just showed them up. Essendon were playing like a bottom. They were playing like West Coast.
I never disrespect the West Coast by saying they were playing like West Coast, to be honest. They were playing shit, horrible.
Yeah, it was ordinary.
It just looked like a bunch of Auskick kids were out there just throwing the ball around. Like, I was watching a couple of, not even highlights, a couple of just analytical clips that they had. And Essendon would just grab the ball, bombing it straight to Geelong. Geelong's defense will turn it over. And it was just a training drill moving forward from there. So, yeah, as much as Brisbane were disappointing, I think the fact that Essendon actually proved me right in being shit of my comments last week.
No, you called it.
That was actually crazy. So, those are my flop team of the week. So, my flops for the week. And yours?
And my flop team of the week has been St Kilda under Ross Lyon.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Very shocking.
Absolutely shocking. Rubbish.
Very shocking.
What is that? Thursday night, Eddie, was it Marvel? Etihad, whatever we call it, Telstra Dome, whatever it's called, man. Against the Bulldogs, games that tend to be evenly matched, the Bulldogs belted them.
Yeah.
They just showed them up, and there was no hunger, no intent.
It seems like both St Kilda and their supporters are not showing up to games.
20,000 at Marvel's pretty ordinary for a St Kilda home game. I know it's Thursday. I know it's cold, but
brother, we've been to a Thursday night game where there was almost 80,000 people at game. So I don't think the cold and all that hasn't even affected. It's just
Marvel's got a roof, man. How cold is it? Like, come on.
Well, once they close that roof, there is no cold. There is
exactly. Just show up. But St Kilda ordinary on and off the field then. So.
And this is Sir Ross Lyon's second stint.
It is,
as coach.
And they sacked Brett Ratton because they thought they could go further. So shout out to
Carlton.
ex-Carlton player Brett Ratton,
ex-Carlton coach too. Yeah, hey, listen,
we sacked him soon.
Fair enough, yeah. Hey, listen, fair enough. Hey, I don't see a problem with you backing up your old mate. But yeah, St Kilda, I don't know where they go, and if they lose, Nasiah Wangan-Miller.
That's a big
loss. At the end of the season, that's a big loss for them.
Big loss, yeah.
Ben King hasn't been, not Ben, Max King
injuries
has been injured or injury prone and hasn't been able to play. And I don't think he's going to play the rest of this year.
I don't think so either.
So things are not looking that great down at Moorabbin or Seaford or wherever the hell they're located.
Wherever they keep playing.
Moving on, this week we wanted to introduce a new segment called Q&A.
Yes.
Where yesterday, I believe, you would have put up a story on our page on Instagram and gave everybody the opportunity to throw in a couple of questions that they want to ask. And we said we'll answer them on today's episode. So we'll get started. And the first question we got was, what is footy?
What is footy?
Very interesting question. Yeah.
I love this question. It's more than just a game. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's the highs, the lows. It's unbridled joy, man. It's it's this roller coaster that just finds new, cruel, state-of-the-art ways of just breaking your heart, man.
Hey, is this coming as a Carlton fan?
It is coming partially as a Carlton fan, but it's everything. It's love, man. It's this passion for this sport or these roller coaster of emotions where you're just like your greatest moments and then your worst moments.
And it being a unique sport as well.
It is such a unique sport, man. I don't know. No other sport can do what footy can do in a space of 3 hours. Like,
yeah,
I think back to great moments, and I straight away think to the semi-final against Melbourne, and then I think to moments of heartbreak, and I turn to Jamie Elliott and Collingwood in 22.
Hey, brother, that guy owns your club.
Yeah, footy, man. That's what footy is, really.
And
I've got a quote for you. I've thought about this quote all day. I've been workshopping it. It's really a marriage where you're in love from the start, and it is till death do us apart in the literal term.
Yeah,
once you're in love, you're done. You're stuck. The highs, the lows, the toxicity, everything in between. So that's what
I don't disagree with you, because look at us both.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are after all these years, and I don't think anything's going to change that soon. So, yeah, footy's amazing. The next question we got was, why do you support Carlton?
Yeah, look.
Story time, yeah?
Story time, but I'll keep it short. Essentially, one day, I was about 10 years old. It was in my room. I had the Panasonic. It was an old Panasonic, the first... I said I'll keep it short and about here we go. But essentially,
describing the
TV. But essentially, put the TV on and watch Carlton play West Coast in the 2005 Wizard Cup Grand Final. So anyone that doesn't know, it's a preseason competition
from 20 years ago.
From 20 years ago, when it actually mattered. Fev was on fire. He kicked 8, and that day I just fell in love, man. That day I was like, "This is my team." And I've got the DVD.
Wow.
From that game.
For all the kids that don't know what that is, there's a device that goes into it. It's a CD that goes into a device that's connected to your TV.
So that day, and funny enough, they finished last that season. They finished last the next 3 seasons, but I didn't change. So that's why I go for.
Sounds like not much has changed since.
No, and why do you go? Our next question really is, why do you go for Collingwood?
Ironically enough, it was because of a Collingwood and Carlton game in 2007, round 7. I believe I was about 10 years old as well, actually. Yes. Now that you mentioned that. There was a massive brawl between Fev and Didak. Well, it started off with Fev and Didak, and then it turned into both teams kind of going at it for most of the game. And I just remembered, like, I recognized the Collingwood game from a game I'd seen a couple of years earlier, when I was much younger and I had no idea what footy was or anything like that. So when I saw on TV that day the Collingwood-Carlton game going on, and then Collingwood ended up beating you guys that day as well.
Yes, they did, yes.
So I just saw, I'm like, I recognize this black and white team from somewhere.
That's insane.
And yeah, they won. To me, they won the fight and the game. So I'm just like, hey, this is a pretty cool team, bro.
They definitely won the fight, yeah.
And I was just like, I like this team, and I started going for them. And another thing that actually caught my attention that day was Dale Thomas. He was a young, scrawny, long blonde dreadlocks. Yeah. I think it was his second or third season, or maybe his second season and he was just, every time he got the ball, the crowd got excited. Everybody got excited. I got excited. I'm just like, hey, bro, you have a cool player. They win games. They win fights. I'm just like, it seems like a fun team to go for. And that's kind of what started my obsession with Collingwood.
That's fair enough, man.
And here we are, 20 years later, almost
still
20 years
about
later.
Dale Thomas.
From that day.
Wow.
Absolutely. The next question we had was, what is the first footy game that we both attended? I'll get us started, or do you want to start with that one?
I'll start it, to go off what you've said. That game you mentioned in 2007 was the first footy game I went to. Yeah,
oh, wow.
And I remember that. I remember sitting somewhere on the top deck. I have 2 memories. And the first one is, there was that fight, and we were looking down, and everyone was trying to figure out what happened. I briefly recall that. And I also remember we lost that game. And I remember that was my first.
Oh, you'd already made your mind up about being a Carlton supporter at that point.
2 years in at that point.
Okay, fair enough.
But we lost that game, and I remember that feeling of it was different to watching games at home and seeing your team lose, and that feeling when you're there and you hear the Collingwood song and they're singing, it sucks. So. What about yourself? First Collingwood game.
My first Collingwood game was I think it was the last game of the season in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
It was against Adelaide at what we now know as Marvel Stadium. It was called the Telstra Dome at the time.
Yes.
For all you youngins that don't know what Telstra Dome is, had to clarify that one. That was my first game. I remember my dad took me, my siblings, and a bunch of my cousins to that game. It also happened to be, I think it was Nathan Buckley's second game back that season.
Yes.
And we lost that game. I remember Mark Rashuda was playing in that game.
Wow.
Brett Burton, Scott Thompson.
There's
a bunch of old names, but old players. From the Collingwood side, the Anthony Rockers, the Alan Didaks, the Rhys Shaws.
Yeah.
All these guys were playing. And we went to that game. I remember it being a disappointment because we lost.
Right.
I remember that night I actually learned the Adelaide theme song because it was playing on repeat for like 20 minutes after the game finished. That was my first experience of being to an AFL game, and I actually had a lot of fun. And it was even more fun that the rest of my family, like my cousins and my siblings, were all there together.
That's
so
nice, yeah.
it's a bit of an experience.
Nice,
we've obviously been to a fair few since that.
We've done a fair bit.
Absolutely.
The next question, you might want to ask this one.
I didn't realize what question it was. Some sneaky bugger says, "Can we see tears from the Bill this weekend when North beats the Blues?"
I've experienced far worse as a Carlton supporter, so losing to North.
I can attest to that.
Losing to North is the least of my worries. I'd be disappointed, but unless something like Jamie Elliott against Carlton happens again, and even that, I've been through that. So
Jamie Elliott will need to be playing for North for that to happen.
So, no tears.
No tears. Well, there you go. Whoever asked, can we get some tears? You ain't seen none.
I'll ask this one for you. I think you know my answer. Who wins the flag first, Essendon or Carlton?
Ooh, at Carlton. Right, I've been shitting on Essendon for 2 weeks.
All for that.
I don't believe they're going to win a grand final in the next 20 years, let alone first out of them and you guys. So, definitely Carlton.
And I can roll into the next question, which is it too late for Bont to win a Brownlow?
I don't know if there's ever been a player that's won. Oh, there probably has been, but just off the top of my head, I probably don't have the facts on that. Don't know if there's been a player that's won a Brownlow after the age of 30.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there has been. So that's the odds that Bont will have to beat to win a Brownlow. B, I think the competition's just too stacked now for him to win a Brownlow.
Yeah.
I don't know what he came last year in the Brownlow, but the second place guy broke the record votes.
Yeah.
So I think there's just too many young guns. There's too many up and coming players or stars of the competition. I think if you're asking me, I think he's been robbed a couple of times over the years.
He has.
I think as a 6-time best and fairest or 7-time best and fairest.
He'll still go down as a legend of the Western
I think he's their greatest player ever. Premiership player, All-Australian, more times.
He'll go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think all that added, he hasn't won a Brownlow. I think there's been obviously just as good of players around him, if not better, that have won the Brownlow over the last couple of years.
I don't think. It's gonna hurt. I mean, Pendlebury hasn't won a Brownlow. I'm not even talking shit. And he's one of
that was a thought that was just going through my head. I just didn't want to say it.
No, I'm not even talking shit. But he's
you're right. I agree.
He's won Brownlow, so I'm not gonna hold Bont to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question. This is an interesting question. If they could somehow manage to pull this off, I'd say might be the greatest team of this modern era. Can Geelong win the flag? Can Jeremy Cameron win the Coleman? And can Bailey Smith win the Brownlow?
I think they can. I think all of those things are a possibility. Cameron's leading the Coleman
by almost 10
Smith
goals.
is maybe leading the Brownlow, or he'd be in the top 3.
Yeah.
And Geelong are the second best team in the competition, behind Collingwood.
Damn.
So you love this, you love it.
I didn't think you were going to hit me. You said second best. I said, this boy's tripping.
Unfortunately, Collingwood are the best team in the competition.
Must be nice to hear this.
At this stage of the season, so I think definitely that's a good call. Whoever put that in, that's a great shout.
Absolutely. They must be
That's cool.
They must be a Geelong fan.
That is,
by country mile. But
I can definitely see that happening. I've got the next one for you.
Yep.
Out of the current top 9, who are the pretenders?
Ooh, who are the pretenders, or who is the pretender?
Who are the pretenders? You can say.
Oh, we can mention a couple actually.
You want
to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'm gonna go first.
Go on.
I'm gonna say Hawthorn. I'm not sold on them. I'm not
Hollywood
sold
Hawks.
on them. Yeah, I think too much Hollywood.
Ooh, the sequel's not as good as the original.
No way. No way. I think last year was a bit of a fluke.
Beginner's luck.
Beginner's luck, yeah. They picked too quickly
Hawks.
last year. So I think I think they might even fall out of the 8. So Hawks for me. And yourself?
I'm still calling Freo frauds.
Okay, fair enough.
I still stand by that. I still don't think they're able to match it with the top teams. I think, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, there may be one or two games against the top 8 teams or whoever's above them. I think they're in 9th at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, or 8th.
Yeah, 9th, I think.
9th, okay. Yeah, so out of the teams on top of them, I think they've only beaten 1 or 2 of them. So the Freo frauds from the season. Yeah, from the beginning they've been, and they only beat North Melbourne by a goal.
A game they probably
given North Melbourne missed basically a shot on goal in the last dying seconds in the goal square, so they could have almost lost that game as well. So I have not been convinced by Freo at all, and I just think they're definitely the pretenders. Yeah, frauds, Freo frauds. That's why we call them Freo frauds.
And the last question, I think you might be able to kickstart us off with this one.
Okay.
Why are there no East Africans in the AFL?
That's a very, very interesting question because we do have a couple of African players in the AFL, a couple of Sudanese boys, South Sudanese boys, a couple of West African boys. So there's a bit of a mix. Why isn't there any East Africans in the AFL? I think it might be a bit of a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I think it might be the fact that we're both East African.
Yeah.
So we kind of know the environment, the households, the families, the communities we kind of grow up in. I think anybody watching this
they understand
from a similar background to us will be like, oh my God, what are these boys doing talking about footy? You know what I'm saying? So
it makes sense.
I think that being a big case, the second thing being it being a physical, a very physical and contact sport.
We spoke about concussion last week.
And I think we mentioned last week, even our parents as kids would be like, oh, go play soccer or go play basketball or... they would anything over footy. I don't think a lot of our parents, besides knowing there's an unusual sport that they play here in Australia, I don't think they actually know what footy is.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So a lot of the times, footy is just not something that...
We didn't grow up with it.
Yeah, basically. So, and now this generation maybe us as parents might be something we encourage because I think... It was a story I was telling you the other day about. I used to play footy as a junior.
You did play, yeah.
I played for a couple of years as a junior in my teens, and it was all fun and games, and I had a great time, and I enjoyed it. There wasn't so much as bad as the physicality and the contact and all the dangerous stuff that they talk about that happened. Obviously, you get a couple of bumps and bruises playing a contact sport. But obviously, once I got to the age of 17, 18, by the time I was in year 12, my parents were just like, hey, start to focus on your studies and your books.
We've all been there.
Don't worry about it. So they've never actually, I don't think our parents and families have ever actually thought the idea of sport generally, let alone AFL, is actually a career pathway or anything like that. They always take it as, it's hobby, just enjoy it, have fun. On the side of everything else that you do.
Yeah, and to be fair, we're doing this podcast, it's a hobby for us. So
there you go.
They weren't wrong.
Hopefully it inspires a couple of East African youngins to hopefully be in the AFL one day. And that brings us to the end of our Q&A segment for today.
It does, yeah. It was good to do it. It was good to run it. We'll look forward to doing more interactive segments like this.
Absolutely.
And we've got lots of plans in place.
Absolutely. Moving on. And this is our favourite part of the week. Looking forward to round 15 and the games that are coming up.
We are. So, the first game, I can barely see it. I think it's Fremantle and Essendon, if I can take a look correctly. I think that's in Perth to kickstart us off. But, yes, Fremantle and Essendon. So, I'm not losing my eyesight, which is good. I think Freo will do really well. In Perth, you said Essendon was shit. Freo for me.
Yeah, I can't fight you on that one. I think for the rest of the season, whoever Essendon's play, I'm picking the other team.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, Freo will definitely get over the line against Essendon with ease, or they should. They're this game away from me putting them in the same boat as Essendon, Fremantle. So they should get over the line against Essendon comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't,
Questions.
Don't worry about questions, brother. They're in the same boat as Essendon. Friday night. Geelong, this is a big game. Yeah, Geelong versus Brisbane down at the Cattery.
Yeah, look, Geelong for me. If we're tipping on form, I tip Geelong every day of the week. We've discussed Brisbane's shaky form. Geelong at the Cattery, hard to beat. Yeah,
I think Geelong will definitely get over the line easy against Brisbane. Brisbane also lost Jackson Payne.
Oh, yes. That's a big loss.
Probably their key defender, the one guy that has allowed everybody else in that defence to do whatever they want to do. Harris Andrews, free running around and intercepting and all that is because Jackson Payne is usually holding down the opposition's best forward. With him gone, and then with Geelong's forward line of Cameron, Shannon Neal, Brad Close, Brian Myers.
That'd be too good. They got weapons everywhere, Geelong.
Yeah, I think, and especially down to GMHBA, I don't think Brisbane stand a chance, unfortunately. Saturday.
Yes, Carlton and North Melbourne at the MCG. I'm surprised we play North at the EG. I
would have thought that game would have been played at Marvel.
Yeah, I'm surprised as you are.
Fair enough.
Play at the MCG, but hey, fair. I'll intend to go to that game. Hopefully, I'll get to go to that game.
Hopefully.
But yeah, we'll win by 10 goals, and I'll come here and.
Brother, you've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I haven't seen 10 goals yet.
Hey, we're still winning, so.
I haven't seen 10 goals yet.
This week might be the 10-goal week. So.
This might be crazy, but for the third week in a row, I might have to agree with you on Carlton winning. But this is going to be the last week. I'm going to agree with you, brother, because after this, there's an avalanche coming for you guys.
The next game we've got Port Adelaide and the Sydney Swans at the Adelaide Oval.
At the Adelaide Oval. Port should get over the line. Sydney has been horrible this year.
Yes, I agree with you as well. I think Port's another team that are fighting for finals. I think Sydney's season is done.
Yep.
Port at the Adelaide Oval.
I agree.
Get the job done.
I think Port should definitely get over the line.
Then we move on to Saturday night. We've got Collingwood and St Kilda at Marvel Stadium. Finally do some travelling, huh?
Across the road. Across the road. Instead of playing in your own backyard, you just have to cross the road to play at the neighbour's backyard. Fair enough. Yeah, we all know the answer to that question. Collingwood over the line. By a kick, by 100, I don't know. Yeah. We'll get over the line. Yeah. I don't think it...
No problems.
Yeah, no problems at all. Yourself?
Yeah, Collingwood for me. St Kilda rubbish.
We've been picking Collingwood and Carlton every week for a couple of years. That's crazy.
It's going to happen. We move on to Sunday. The first game is the battle of the newer teams. The Giants.
I mean, they are the newest teams in the
newest
AFL.
Teams, yeah. The Giants and the Suns.
I feel like they've both been low-key going at the same almost rhythm this year so far. Yeah. They've both been as inconsistent as each other.
Suns maybe a bit more than
the Giants. The Giants haven't that much. The only impressive thing the Giants have done this year is beat us at the beginning of the season. And everybody's been talking about what they did, and we haven't seen anything. That and beating Geelong.
That's true.
At GMHBA. Where's that game being played?
At NG Stadium in Sydney.
That means GWS should get over the line.
And they are favourites. And I agree with you. I think the Giants will beat the Suns. And the last game on Sunday is the Western Bulldogs and Richmond at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, the Doggies will have another feast day.
They're going to munch, especially at Marvel. Yeah.
The thing is, I don't actually write off Richmond. I think Richmond actually do a half-decent job, especially when they come up against these big teams. I don't know how they manage it. But their kids actually put in some time and effort, which is great.
But not against the Doggies.
But I don't, I agree. I'm not saying they're going to win the game. I think they'll put up a bit of a fight.
You like Richmond. You've definitely complimented them a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if a team's trying and they're playing half decently, a bunch of kids, Essendon, y'all should take some lessons from Richmond. But yeah, I reckon the Bulldogs should get over that game easy.
And that wraps us up.
Yes, for another week. It's been fun. It's been fun doing the Q&A.
It's been awesome, yeah.
I think we've enjoyed all the questions that have come in and all the time we've kind of spent thinking back about our responses.
Yeah.
A couple of those had me scratching my head from like
good questions.
18, 20 years back. I'm just like, what happened, how? But yeah, it's been fun. doing it. Hopefully we'll do more of these like Nabil said earlier.
And we'll see you guys back next week.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Ciao.